All right, your friend Jane asked you to help her make a poster. You came up with the idea of a pretty girl with an eating disorder.
Yep.
Daria, that is so you.
Hey, hello, how do you do? Shady Doorags here. Gonna be honest, guys, I don't have a witty intro for you. You intellectuals asked for a review of arts and crafts, I said I was gonna review it, and now I'm doing just that.
Let's go!
The episode starts with Jake bawling his eyes out. Turns out he lost a client for responding to their idea honestly.
What do you think? He said, want you to be honest, he said.
So, I love how devoted Jake is to his family, but just about everything else about him annoys me to no end. I can't stand how easily he gives into his emotions. It always makes it seem like he's not in control of any situation, and that can get very grating. And yes, I know, it makes sense that his character has these traits given his backstory and daddy issues, but that's not enough to put him on my good side. Also, I get annoyed at how oblivious Jake tends to be. I guess I can't be too mad at that one though. This was the 90s, so media would be nowhere near tired of the stupid dad trope.
He fired you for being honest?
It was entrapment!
At first I was going to complain about this scenario because it barely affects the episode and, as far as I can tell, doesn't come up again for the rest of the show. However, I decided to pull back on that complaint when I realized that it's doing that thing where the first few minutes are set up for one of the episode's themes, that being getting in trouble for telling the truth. We transition to Lawndale High where Daria and Jane are participating in art class.
Brittany, did you spill your paint?
No.
Haha, funny joke, but Brittany's painting isn't that bad for someone who's not an artist. That's clearly the barrel, that's clearly the fan, and that's... Okay, I don't know what that is, but come on, she's trying. Better than Kevin, who's just painting random football crap instead of following the lesson. By the way, fun little detail about this show, if they're in a classroom, the chalkboards tell you pretty much exactly what's supposed to be going on, and reading them can help you better understand the scene. That is, if you can read them. Miss Frizzle, move! Principal Lee and Mr. O'Neill interrupt the class for an announcement.
Lawndale High is participating in a statewide student art contest. The theme of the contest is student life at the dawn of the millennium.
What's it like to be a high school student in today's fast-changing world?
Entry is strictly voluntary, of course.
As Jane and Daria head out, Jane gets preemptively stopped by Miss Defoe, who expresses to Jane that she's eager to see her entry into the contest. Jane tries to hint that she doesn't want to enter, but Defoe lays the guilt trip on thick.
If there's anyone in the school who can capture student life today, it's you.
Why did she have to be so nice? Now I have to come up with some stupid poster about student life. Nobody said the message had to be positive. I'm gonna do something that really represents student life.
Yes.
It tells the truth about how much it can suck.
Yes.
Jane, if you want to do a negative message about student life, that's whatever, but just because something's positive doesn't mean it's fake. Also, can you intellectuals now see why I had to review Misery Chick before touching this episode? One talks about how Daria isn't a negative person, while the other has her embracing negativity. And they're back to back! There are way too many moments in this episode where I want to say, wait, this goes against the whole point of Misery Chick. In fact, I'm even further into the show now, and I can tell you, there are more episodes that address how Daria is more negative than she is positive. So Jane starts to get excited for the contest now that she realizes she can do something negative. However, she desperately wants Daria to help her since she's an expert on negativity.
Tell the world that I, Daria Morgendorfer, have something I want to say.
Yes.
No.
After watching this episode multiple times, one thing that still confuses me is why Daria initially doesn't want to help Jane with the project. When I first watched it, I thought it was because, unlike Jane, Daria isn't artistically creative and thus can't get into a project like this. However, Jane isn't asking Daria to paint the picture, just to come up with a theme and concept, something that, as a literature buff, Daria would be very good at. My next guess was that as an introvert, Daria wants to desperately avoid being in the spotlight, which makes sense considering the caveat to her joining Jane was anonymity.
All right, I'll make my personal statement and I'll stand behind it, but only on the condition of strict anonymity.
However, later episodes will reveal that Daria finds joy in people appreciating her for her writing, and that she would like a life of being a well-known writer.
Every week you write that column of yours, trying to wake people up to the truth.
Well, there is some pleasure in winning awards for saying the same things that made me an outcast in high school.
So I'm not exactly sure what the reasoning for this is. Then again, it might just be that I'm overthinking this and Daria's just a teenager who doesn't want to do extra homework. So Daria and Jane begin brainstorming on a concept for the piece.
How about we call it America's Future Leaders, and we just enlarge a picture of Kevin and Brittany?
Know your audience, ladies. There's no way your thing would get across if you did that. You two might see that as a negative, but most people would agree with the title. It takes some time, but after overeating pizza to the point of vomiting, Daria finally comes up with a winning idea. We transition to the next day where the students are presenting their entries for the contest.
I call it Don't Drink or Take Drugs.
All I see are the alcohol and the drugs, with no negative imagery to symbolize their dangers.
There!
It's not haha funny, but it works as a joke. At last, Miss Defoe makes her way to Jane and Daria's project.
She knows she's a winner. She couldn't be thinner. Now she goes in the bathroom and vomits up dinner? Oh, Jane, do you think it's funny to make fun of someone with an eating disorder?
It's not meant to be funny.
It's not meant to be funny.
Wait, why would Jane not know that? Daria, did you tell Jane to paint a picture of a pretty girl and not tell her the theme? Also, what the crap did y'all do to Jane in this shot? She's supposed to have a good 6 inches on Daria. Why is she so short? Because Jane can't figure out Daria's message, Daria has to explain it to Defoe herself, basically revealing that this was a collaborative effort.
She's saying that all the emphasis on appearance today can be dangerous. The girl is very pretty, and your first reaction is, oh, what a happy teenager. But maybe that's not the whole story.
Okay, I can see that. Though you might want to add a hashtag not all at the end. After being explained the message, Defoe decides that the poster is worthy of being entered into the contest. Of course, since it's obvious Daria helped make it, it's insistent that her name be on the entry as well.
Next time I give you a prepared statement.
So Daria and Jane are now in the running for the art contest. Unfortunately, Mr. O'Neill and Principal Lee, the ones in charge of hosting the event, found a slight problem with their entry.
There's this one line. I'm just wondering if you consider changing the part about vomiting up dinner.
It presents a distasteful picture to the student body.
That's the point.
So we're all on the same page.
What? You? How? What? What?
The girl is so obsessed with being beautiful that it turns her into something really ugly. That's the message of the poster. So it takes me a while.
No, that's not the message of the poster. That's what's happening in the poster. Keep up, Jane. Daria already said that the message was judging someone based solely on looks is unreliable because they might have an ugly side or problem that looks can't reveal.
But she looks so pretty and happy.
Again, that's the point. It's deceptive and juxtaposed. The nasty words wouldn't work if the image itself wasn't so pretty. Although, to be fair, they made it clear that both Jane and Miss Defoe, two people highly interested in art, didn't clearly understand the message. And Mr. O'Neill isn't exactly unfamiliar with literature. Maybe the message just isn't as clear as Daria thinks it is.
Why not make the theme positive?
You mean being that gorgeous is so tiring that she's too exhausted to eat?
Exactly. See, even beautiful people have problems.
Boy, you really don't get it at all, do you?
Well, no, he gets it a little bit, but he's missing the point about the impact. Daria's message was about not assuming based on appearances. Mr. O'Neill's theme of pretty people have problems too still flows with that message, but it lacks the impact because it's a message people are expecting. The harsh reality of throwing up dinner while appealing to the same message hits harder because no one sees it coming.
Look, I didn't even want to write the stupid poem. I don't really care what people do to themselves.
Just gonna save that comment. I might need that later for other reviews.
But if you change that line, the poem becomes just another phony, dishonest message. It'll applaud the same thing it criticized before.
Okay, ultimately, I agree with Daria and Jane. The original message has a bigger impact. However, I gotta give Daria some pushback on this specific line right here.
But if you change that line, the poem becomes just another phony, dishonest message.
That I disagree with. A message about how pretty people have problems just like everyone else is not phony and dishonest. They do have problems, and you can't call it phony just because it isn't what you originally had in mind. I get real suspicious when Miss Lee asks,
"Is it so wrong for young people to take pride in the way they look?"
And Daria doesn't answer. By the way, she does answer this question in other episodes. Daria does indeed think it's wrong to take pride in looks.
Do whatever you want to the poster. Just take my name off it.
And mine.
I mean, that's fair. More than fair, actually. Oh wait, the school can't enter it into the contest if there's no student attached to it, can they? Principal Lee lets Daria and Jane leave, but she tells them to keep an open mind.
Call their parents.
Mrs. Amanda Lane. Hello, Mrs. Lane.
Sadly, this is me. Before any phone call. For a good 6 hours before it happens. Yeah, I'm one of those millennials.
What can I do for you? Anybody there?
And that's me during any phone call. Jane gets out scot-free since no one in her family cares enough to even pick up the phone. Bit to unpack there, but I'm not dealing with that right now. Daria, however, isn't so lucky.
She's supposed to be making a poster about student life, and she comes up with the most negative message she can think of.
All right, Jake got his turn. I want to talk about Helen now. You might be surprised by this, but she's one of my favorite characters in the show. She's obviously not perfect. For example, she's very judgmental, but she's one of the most I'm doing the best I can with what I have characters, and I greatly appreciate that about her. Her frustration here has more context that you get throughout the series. The reason she's jumping down Daria's throat is because she's scared her daughter's constant negative view of the world will affect how she performs in it. And she's got a point. Daria has, in multiple episodes, given up opportunities because of her negative outlook. Also, as a mother, Helen just wants to see her children happy, and Daria doesn't exactly exude happiness.
It's a funny thing, Daria. You give birth to someone, you just get an urge to keep tabs on them.
Don't get me wrong, I'm still on Daria's side with this issue, but it's very easy to empathize with Helen.
It's not negative. It's supportive of students who don't want to be judged by their looks.
Okay, I can't tell from her tone if she's being her usual sarcastic Daria self or if she genuinely thinks that. If it's the latter, I call shenanigans on that because Daria and Jane went in explicitly looking for a negative message. Also, Daria's abusing the concept of interpretation. Imagine if I said, people who wear glasses suck, and then afterwards I said, I didn't mean anything negative by it, I was just being supportive of people who prefer contacts. By the way, I would never say that. Shades are a type of glasses after all.
Well, if this poster is supposed to be propaganda promoting student life, it's very bad. But if it's supposed to be art expressing Daria's personal vision of student life, it's very good.
Jake, that is surprisingly the best doggone answer at the table. However, I'm not sure if that's true because, like I said earlier, it took Daria explaining what the picture meant for multiple artists, including its own creator, to understand what it was trying to say. The next day, Jane and Daria talked to Mr. O'Neill again about changing their picture, being interrupted by Brittany for a brief moment.
I want to enter my new poster in the contest. The message is, don't join a gang.
I see the gang, but I don't see anything representing don't.
Where's my lipstick?
I think you guys skipped a step in the rule of 3. The first 2 instances are supposed to establish a pattern. Brittany only used her lipstick once for the no sign. She should have used it one more time prior to this if this scene wanted to seal the joke and be funny. Mr. O'Neill makes a deal with Jane and Daria that he'll do his best to change their poster but keep their vision. And if they don't like his new message, they can withdraw from the competition. Again, a very fair deal.
She knows she's a winner. She couldn't be thinner because she's careful what she eats for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Good nutrition rules.
Okay, Mr. O'Neill, I'm starting to agree with Jane that you didn't get it at all. Now you're very much off the mark. Also, creators, when y'all made this episode, y'all didn't think someone would be able to pause and see that you didn't actually change the text on that painting. But I can. And you didn't.
What does this have to do with our poster?
It turns a negative message into a positive one.
So there's some serious levels of irony going on here. I mean, like off the chart levels of irony. The whole point of the poster is not to judge by appearances, i.e. there could be something nasty behind something beautiful. However, Mr. O'Neill and Principal Lee only like the picture because it's beautiful and hate that there's something nasty behind it. Or in this case, I guess that would technically be in front of it. Seeing as how Mr. O'Neill completely missed the mark, Daria and Jane request their poster back so they can properly withdraw. Principal Lee, however, decides she's going to overrule that nonsense.
But Miss Lee, I did promise.
I didn't. The poster will be displayed during the school board meeting tomorrow night.
Can she do that?
No.
Well said, Daria. No, she cannot. That poster is your property, and she is fraudulently entering your names into a competition. I mean, maybe you could make the argument that since we see Jane painting in class, that she used school materials to make it, and thus it belongs to the school in that regard. But that's a pretty flimsy argument, and even then, it doesn't cover the fraud part. The girls talk among themselves about how to fix this situation. Their best bet would be Helen, since this is a crime and she is a lawyer. However, Daria doesn't trust that her mother would take her side, considering Helen was already upset at Daria for being negative in the first place.
The system's failed us.
The system sucks.
You guys didn't even try the system, you just made assumptions about it. With supposedly no one in authority to help them, Daria and Jane feel like there's only one recourse of action they can take. They head to the donuts. They head to the gallery display and wait until the coast is clear.
Oh no!
Ah, okay. I was completely wrong. Brittany's little stunt wasn't the punchline to the rule of 3. This was. Wow, that's actually really clever how they brought that full circle. In more ways than one, actually.
Did you really think you were going to get away with this?
Well, it would be stupid to say yes now.
And that's the line that made Jane become my favorite character. Principal Lee, with the intent of discipline, tries to call the girl's parents. The only person she's able to get on the line is Helen, and did I mention that Helen's a lawyer?
You took my daughter's poster from her, altered its content, exhibited it against her will, and are now threatening discipline because you claim she defaced her own property, which you admit to stealing?
That's not what I said at all.
I love that scene so much. It's so cathartic since Principal Lee is obviously doing something both immoral and illegal. However, while I'm glad that Helen came to Daria's rescue, I wish the episode would have dwelled on it a bit more and had Daria wonder why her mother sided with her and Jane in the end. I mean, I know why. It's because, despite Daria's assumptions, Helen is on Daria's side and she doesn't want to see her daughter get unfairly punished, even if what she did goes against what Helen wanted. But I would have loved if Daria gave herself a little introspection. The episode ends with Daria and Jane joking about their experience. Good job, Brittany. You applied yourself and achieved your goal. Like, seriously, I can see Brittany being a future leader. She's got confidence and initiative, which accomplishes a lot more than competence and apathy. And that was Arts and Crafts. I don't know if I can say it's my absolute favorite Daria episode, but it's definitely high on the list. The episode is paced well, as usual, it tells great jokes, and of course, there are the themes and messages. There's the whole censorship thing and how it's applied unfairly, which we see all the time over social media. There's a discussion between creators and their overseers and how they can get in the way of each other's goals, which pertains to media making in general. And of course, there's the conversation about being asked to be honest and then getting in trouble for doing so, which is just life. Look, I'm not going to pretend like there should be absolutely no censorship to anything, nor do I think that there aren't dangerous ideas. But if you ask someone to express their opinion on something, it's very dishonest to change that opinion when it doesn't say what you want it to say. And to further demonstrate my beliefs on this matter, I'm here to say that if I want to script my laughs in my videos, they are my creations and I shan't be censored. This has been Shady Doorags. So long, farewell, Auf Wiedersehen, goodbye.